things like putting you to the test right away with turn 1 Ragavan to, turn 2 Ren plus Saga stuff starting to loop. So based on the texture of what Jesse can draw, you have to really make sure that your answers line up. And Raja so far has done a great job of doing so. It seems to think that he has come prepared this weekend in cards like Broker's Charm, which, like I said, a little bit of a metagame call, I think, have looked excellent so far across the entire weekend, and certainly in this matchup. Is Jesse taking a look at a 6 on the play in Modern. Now, Raja up a match. Raja wins any of the next 2 matches. He is your 2022 NRG champion. But Jesse, still in it. Coming back from behind, an impressive sweeping performance in the semifinals. See if she can do something like that. Again, she needs to right here.
Yeah, I mean, she has to win 2 matches in a row, but winning 2 matches in a row is something that Jesse Robkin has probably done dozens of times this year, if not more than that. So this is an achievable obstacle that she needs to overcome here. Is certainly a strong possibility. Raja Suleiman, however, from his perspective, well, he's gotten all the way here, and all he has to do is not lose twice in a row. Notably in matchups where he's probably slightly favored in both. So
sure.
We'll see.
I mean, I'm sure Raja being up a match has to like where he's seated. Now, of course, no excuse to get sloppy. And, you know, Raja, good enough, probably not going to get sloppy, but eventually, I mean, the endurance required to play these tournaments and so much on the line, it can really work on people's nerves. And some of the people that succeed consistently at the highest level have to be able to manage that. As Jesse draws her card post shuffle from the bobble, and is able to mechanically shortcut here a little bit, keep the magic flowing for you as Ren and 6 coming down right away. No Ragavan, but Ren and 6 worth quite a bit. We saw it do a lot of work in the first Modern match we watched just a second ago, and we'll see if it can do so again. Maybe this time convert to a victory, but I think Raja has a lot of removal spells going on here as we are doing some shuffling. Fetch shocking once again.
Safer than, well, actually, yeah. So we have Prismatic Ending, we have Leyline, Binding.
Right.
So multiples, safer than in sideboard games where there's also Ether Gust to take care of it. But on turn 2, it's always going to hit the board, isn't it? So that's something. She's always going to get a free card out of it.
Yeah, and the question does become, too, what is that card worth? Right. If it's something like an Urza Saga, quite a bit. If it's something like a fetch land, well, a little less so. But the thing is, Jesse's able to use her mana efficiently here either way. You know, if Raja untaps, goes, okay, remove your thing, she gets to untap, go, okay, Fable the Mirror Breaker, and every spell that Jesse's playing is getting some amount of value immediately. In Ren's case, it's a land. In Fable's case, it comes with a token. And so we'll see, exactly what she can snowball those little advantages towards as Raja has to, kind of react to all of these things that Jesse's going to be doing.
Yes. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, you don't want to fall too far behind her. We saw this Ren 6 do a lot of work in game 1 last time. We'll see if Raja's able to get it off the board right away this time. There might be Prismatic Ending in hand, and that would be a clean way to do it. So was that Rafine's Tower and Breeding Pool? So also Leyline Binding mana available. I suppose you play the Sorcery Speed. Yeah, there it is. Prismatic Ending gets rid of that. We know Jesse has a 3rd land she picked up. We saw Fable and Mirror Breaker in hand, so that's a reasonable follow-up here on turn 3.
True. And Raja, actually, interestingly, doesn't have another land. We see over and over again, his deck kind of seems to have more of the opposite problem, where he draws too many lands, and maybe why he was willing to keep this hand. But I think if Raja stumbles here on a land, it's going to be big game. Raja really needs to hit his 3rd land drop.
Interesting development. Yeah, we see with Teferi in hand. I mean, if Jesse just plays Fable and Raja follows up with land, Teferi, bounce the token, I mean, that's tremendous for Raja. But you're right. If you can't deal with the Fable token, then Jesse can get all sorts of advantage out of this.
Yeah, you start getting not just any kind of card advantage from the Fable, but also, mana advantage from the token, and things can start to get, out of hand very quickly. And part of the power of Fable the Mirror Breaker is that kind of multi-pronged attack as a draw, and it is Castle Vantress, a land, definitely what the doctor ordered for Raja. Shuffles the hand up a little bit to indicate that he's not playing the land he just drew, going to deploy it anyway. And here is Teferi, Time Rattler, like you mentioned, going to yeet that token back to the Shadow Realm, aka the hand. You can see, get a good look at the very powerful rare from War of the Spark. That static ability, powerful, but not even the only thing it has going on. Lets you play sorcery speeds though they have flashed. The uptick, downtick, returns up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, gives you a card for your trouble. As Jesse deploys the Saga, a great follow-up to a Teferi that's already been spent.
Wow, and Raja, there would be okay, well, scratch that. I was going to say there's plenty of hands that he might have where he's not able to take advantage of Teferi's plus ability, but he does have 2 more Prismatic Ends in hand. So all kinds of
Yeah,
exile
Jesse, not
opportunities
interested in playing around with that at all.
Yeah.
Immediately Unholy Heats that.
Yeah.
Get that Teferi out of here. Thank you.
Which feels
We'll
so
see if we
bad,
picked up.
but it is something that we see the community has decided is a must. You have to get rid of Teferi Time Raveler. You can't let it stick around. Just the advantage gained by the opponent is too much.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And Raja found a Plains off the last few draw steps, so gets to keep the land drops flowing. Definitely the draw has panned out for Raja. We'll see if he's interested in doing something like blowing up the Saga before I can get any value. We have another Teferi that we know about. Of course, Fable the Mirror Breaker is going to flip into Reflection and Kiki Jiki here momentarily. So kind of a few problems going on the board right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see exactly what priority order Raja is going to have for removing them.
All right. Certainly, yeah. Full grip of cards here. Jesse just waiting. Raja with some cards that are currently useful, some that are kind of down the line. Like we see this Dress Down already in hand to deal with the future constructs that may be made.
Absolutely. The Plains is deployed. I think we might even have something like Subtlety available to us too, although I doubt that's the angle we're going to take. Saga, I feel like Saga is the thing we want to get rid of right now. It's the one that disrupts some of her mana, is part of the primary game plan for the Breach deck in general. And you certainly don't want the third chapter going off and getting some kind of artifact advantage as well.
Yeah.
But maybe Raja's like, now that we're here in this kind of mana setup, the graveyard's somewhat stocked. You have to do a little bit of respecting Underworld Breach off the top with Grinding Station already in play.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do anything really on its own, but it's so threatening because it does allow Breach to come in and just, do wonders all at once for less mana commitment. And Raja unsure what to do here. He's taking his time on this one. We'll see. Decisions should be imminent, and he's maybe going to ask.
No decision's been made, so wanting to take the land drop back. Yeah, we want to go ahead and Teferi first since we've decided to play Teferi. Return Saga to hand. If we draw a tap land, maybe want to play that one. Let's see. Draw a basic anyway. Don't think we can play any spells from our hand no matter what. So Plains is the known information. I think we're going to redeploy that one and pass the turn.
All right.
And
nice turn
coming from Jesse.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Got to flip the thing. Reflection of Kiki Jiki in play. No haste. That's so unintuitive to me.
I know.
Kiki have haste. Why doesn't the Reflection have haste? I guess, too many words. It already has enough words, but come on.
I agree with you. It is, it's a good enough card anyway, but it does seem it's just unfitting that it isn't able to do that. It isn't able to be actually the other creature. It's namesake on the way in. All right.
It is just a reflection after all.
Jesse counting permanence. That's frightening if I'm Raja.
Oh, yeah. And Breach is definitely frightening me. I think this is the nightmare scenario with something like Broker's Charm available. Able to get to work right away. Grinding Station plus Bobble allows you to start things up right away. And if something like Emery is found, maybe Emery into Mox Amber is just it. We might just be dead here.
Yeah, I think, there's 2 mana available for Grape Shot, and Grinding Station can just recast the Bobble and then escape those 3 cards. So there's no real need for anything here. It's just Storm Count and
I think Jesse's signaling that right now. I'm just going to keep going until I hit Grape Shot. Raja thinking if any of his cards do anything. I think the answer is no. And so Jesse's saying, I'm just going to shortcut until I hit Grape Shot. Raja has seen enough. No sense wasting time making you move your cards around. We are done here. And wow.
All right.
Really demonstrating the power of the Breach deck.
So Jesse's on the game. Jesse's on the board for the first time in this series. Up a game. And all right. Well, now we've seen, that's the first time we've seen really her deck do what it's designed to do.
Yeah, that's true. I think it has done some amount of what it is designed to do, at least in fractions, each time we've seen her play it. But here, I think we're really seeing her get paid off, too, for her bold decision to run back the modern format, saying, okay, on the play, you were able to get me. We still played a close game. I think it's close. So on the play, I think I'm favored. And she sure was. She was able to kind of tax those both angles, making Raja respect that Urza Saga with the Teferi, and then able to untap and slam the door shut with the Underworld Breach, really showing that kind of being able to pivot back and forth as long as you eventually draw your Underworld Breach.
As long as you hit it, it still works. And we see this Grape Shot fly out of the graveyard and wipe out Raja's life total. All right, so game 2 upcoming. The players re-sideboarding. Likely same as what we saw before, but if you just joined us and if you weren't with us half an hour ago, we'll go and put the deck list up again. even though this is a repeat matchup of what we just watched in the first section of the finals. Raja Suleiman's Bant control deck. Maybe, I mean, it's not inconceivable that you learned something in the first match and you want to make a change now, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we saw Endurance come in. That was a question mark for me. It was not obvious, how many Endurance, if any at all, would come in. Jesse did get a little bit of information from game number 2 of the previous match, where Endurance was part of the mix. And so, getting that information, you saw the Gusts, you saw the Endurances. Like I said, I think we even saw Veto. So, you got a ton of information about the cards that are already coming in. Maybe you can adapt your plan. And this might be part of Jesse's confidence to do better this time around. Now that she's seen a little bit of the sideboarding, Raja has a lot of cards that could come in. The question is what? And we got to see some of that already ourselves.
Yeah, and since we assume with great deal of confidence that Rave Revelations are coming in as well, that means Raja's boarding a lot of cards in. Right. And so now Jesse, with confirmation of that, can now try and pick out what he might be boarding out and maybe be able to target that in some way or another. So
yeah, I mean, maybe you lean more on the breach, less on the breach. The deck being able to pivot back and forth so much, and we can get Jesse's list up so we can kind of talk a little bit about that too. Like the deck being able to pivot between its plans so much means that you actually have a very flexible approach when it comes to sideboarding. How hard you want to go on the combo versus rolling it back a little bit, and how hard that Raja goes into the sideboarding strategy, I think is going to play a lot into giving Jesse information on how much, which direction to lean. Mm-hmm. And overall, I think leaning more towards the fair stuff seemed the way to go. You can get underneath the counter spells with things like Ragavan and Emery and Ren. All of those cards can pretty easily get underneath some counter spells. And, Breach, there's just a lot of ways to check it as the game goes on. And if he's bringing stuff like Endurance too, maybe something even as dramatic as cutting down to 1 or 0 is the way you want to reach. Not totally sure if she has the cards to bring in to do that, but it's simply, she has a lot of cards she can bring in too. Counter spells, Veil of Summers, Gust of her own, that kind of stuff. Maybe not so much the Gust, but, you get the idea. There's green cards, Broker's Charm. You can bring stuff in.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
How much she wants, who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get this right. Players still shuffling up. I'm ready. I'm sure the viewers are ready. Oh, what? Wait a second.
What? I know you're not a pile shuffle.
After all of this, Raja decides
gotta count the deck.
The time is now to pile shuffle.
I pile shuffle after every sideboard. Okay, Joe, here's the tech. Every time you do heavy sideboarding, or even no sideboarding at all, you should shuffle your entire sideboard in, right? It's easy to make mistakes with cards when you do that. You should pile shuffle between every game because you're shuffling your whole sideboard in, except Kahira.
No. If you're an up and coming tournament player, if you're getting started, you're starting coming at Magic, do not listen to what Drake Sasser just told you. Do not do that.
Every game, just don't put it one card at a time. It's so slow. Go faster.
Even if you're going to sideboard all at once, you still don't need to pile shuffle. You can just count your sideboard and then look at the floor. And there's nothing on the floor and your sideboard is 15, you're good.
Oh, that's a little sus. If I saw my opponent looking at the floor after every game, I'd be like, Judge, please, what is happening here? My opponent's got stuff going on.
Looking at the floor is important. I once had in a Grand Prix, a judge walked up and was like, is your deck 59 cards? And I was like, no. And they counted it and it was. And I was like, what happened? They're like, you left a Jace under the table of the feature match area last round. And I was like, okay.
An expensive card to leave under the feature match area.
I know, right?
Too. That's not one you'd want to leave behind.
But even then, and then my opponent's like, is that a game lost? And the judge is like, no.
Oh, really? That's fine. I thought game logic, especially when you told me no. Yeah. Like, you tell me no? All right. Prove it then, tough guy.
I thought for sure I was going to lose the game on that one. But all right. So Raja is now shuffling regular style, we call it riffling. Yeah. So, okay. Pile shuffling completed, riffling, shuffling on the way, presenting. And now we are ready for game 2 of match number 2 of the finals.
We're finally ready for some more finals action. Hey, also it gives you a little bit of break. I can't understate how much of a toll playing at your highest level every single match takes. It's so hard. Plenty of, couch coaches want to be able to say, oh, I could do that, or why did the player make this, or whatever. You have no idea the mental strain that goes on at a high stakes tournament like this, playing all day, having all these players around you watching, having, the multiple thousand people that are watching right now on Twitch watching you. There's so much on the line. Mm-hmm. And so, some of these situations you get into, you need just a quick breather. And Jesse had one coming into the finals. Raja, not so much. So giving yourself a little bit more time to, crush your T's, dot your I's, all that kind of stuff, and give yourself a little bit of mental break. Playing control decks every single round is immensely taxing.
No, I agree. It certainly is. I don't know if you saw this now. I remember during the World Chess Championship, I think the previous cycle, an article is written that super high level chess players during those events, they can burn 10,000 calories a day sitting in a chair playing chess.
Yep.
Yeah. So
is a lot.
I'm surprised we didn't have to have a dinner break in the middle of this match.
I'll tell you what, I left every single tournament hungry, very hungry. Did some damage at some restaurants.
All right, we are
passing underway. The turn. Wooded Foothills, the crack for turn 1 for Jesse.
And it's tapped. Okay, Stomping Grounds. No Ragavan here.
Maybe Ragavan, maybe shortcut Ragavan?
Yeah.
Oh, Haywire Might.
All right,
hello.
All right. Well, that's a pretty anemic attacker, but it's something.
What is that for? Dress downs?
It hits Leyline Binding. It hit could hit Dress Down, yeah.
All right. I mean, it attacks, pressures Planeswalkers, adds to the artifact count for your constructs.
Sure.
I don't know. That's kind of what I did kind of expect to be sideboarded up, but I guess there's enough cards that it does hit incidentally. Plus, it's just an attacker that Jesse's like, sure, why not? You can get the job done. You carry a Shadow Spear just fine.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Obviously, it's not an ideal opener, but yeah, it can get in some points.
Yeah, I can't even hit Dress Down. Yeah, so it has to just be like Leyline Bindings and Chalice if it's still in the deck. Jocelyn's here, I guess, is pretty good. As a Scalding Tarn deployed. No Ren 6 this game. It's been a big part of the fair plan for the Temur Breach deck. That's been the big innovation for this tournament. You know, Jeskai Breach was kind of the name of the game previously. Jesse did a lot of tearing up NRG events and other events with the Breach deck all across 2022. And you know, now for the NRG Championship, we have brought green into the mix for Ren and 6, help out with the fair plan, knowing there was going to be a lot of fair matchups. And they've been really, really good. Extremely impressive across every game we've seen them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Raj, again, passing, but with Archmage Charm available, I guess he does have green mana. If he can snag the Haywire Might, maybe he can blow up something of Jesse's later on. That would be kind of brutal, especially if Urza Saga comes into play here.
Yeah, that's part of the strength of the card, right? And part of the reason I think it was even included to begin with is Jesse is fetching. Also, this Temur Breach deck, this splash, I keep talking about how the splash is really powerful, but certainly not free. We've seen Sagas struggle to help cast stuff alongside basics, but also the damage Jesse does to herself with her fetching. This is one of the matchups where it matters the least. Yeah. And it still feels like it has mattered with some of Raj's plan flashing in things like Endurance and, you know, the various elementals and just starting to lay the smackdowns. Jesse's lost full turns off of fetching and shocking. Definitely not a free splash.
I suppose. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you're losing, when you don't get your turn 9 and die in turn 8 instead, I don't know that we've really lost all that much. But okay, it's certainly there are times it's going to matter. I can't disagree with that. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Joe Lissette, not a Time Walk fan.
I mean, if you have the cards to win the turn before, you don't need an extra turn. No.
Okay, just win, forehead. Why take more turn when win do just good?
Yeah, precisely. That is exactly the mindset I'm trying to convey here with my play.
All right,
yeah,
Joe,
we don't need this stuff.
Maybe that's why. One day I'll be like you, but for the meantime, I need multiple turns to win the game. If nothing else, as here comes the very powerful 2-mana Planeswalker, Rin and 6. We'll see if Raja has any interest in allowing that to happen. Plenty of options to counter it. Card has been annoying in the past, somewhat innocuous now with only fetch lands in the graveyard.
It is in there. All right, he lets it in. So yeah, that's a sign of respect there. Certainly, just that he wants to be prepared for future cards, as he is not going to expend his mana here. He may just be looking to draw 2 though.
Yeah, I think so. That's something we've seen Raja prioritize really heavily with his mana. Is just getting the card advantage going, and I think that's what we're going to see here as well.
Right.
Yeah, Wear Tear picked up. Woo.
Yeah, nothing doing with that yet, but there is a Urza Saga in hand, so picking off Haywire Might and Urza Saga. I mean, the Haywire Might is just kind of a free. Although, how easily do we even have red? No, we do have red mana, don't we? Yeah. Okay. No, it is there.
Well, blowing up. It's weird too because blowing up the Saga isn't exciting with a Ren in play. Like, cards to do that, not really where you want to be.
Yeah, it's a setback though. If you do it before the chapter 1 trigger resolves, then it does basically wipe out most of Jesse's turn.
Extremely true as well. And Raja doing a big think on the turn. We see he has a land drop for turn in the form of an island. Can cast, I think, his entire hand, including the Fuse of Wear and Tear. So kind of just trying to map up the next few turns and see exactly what kind of threats Jesse may be posing and what kind of mana he wants to have up to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really want to fumble it with this many options in hand, seeming like you have most angles covered. Tough spot. Flooded Strand. This is a prismatic ending. Likely why we let the Wrenn resolve.
Yeah.
Fetch land not worth a lot. Removal spell may be worth less if you counter the Wrenn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seems reasonable. Get the sorcery speed removal spell out of the way. Save the counters for other things and things that can be kind of dastardly, like stealing this. I don't know. I'm interested. This Haywire might. I mean, I'm worried for Jesse from Jesse's perspective. This seems like a liability just having it in play, as it can be stolen, and then if an Ursa Saga goes down to that, that's
we've seen Raja with more juicy targets than a Haywire might with Archmage's Charm, and still electing to draw cards. I feel like you have to feel pretty safe on that one.
Yeah.
Also, notably, not running the Haywire Might into the 3 open mana last turn. I think there's a lot of respect for some potential flash elementals in the form of Endurance. Now, with only 2 mana up, does get busy.
All right, here's Saga. We only see 2. Let's see. We have Saga in play, and then we're going to see Fable as well.
Yeah, could have responded, like you mentioned, to the trigger. Elected not to. As a result, going to be able to play Fable. 1 mana left over, representing potentially something like Veil. Don't think she has it now, but haven't gotten a great look.
Yeah, but she doesn't necessarily have to have it because Raja has to respect it. And he knows it came in last match. So even though he has Dovin's Veto, I mean, he may not be willing to run this into it.
Yeah, it's really tough. With only 1 counter spell up, I think even something like Dovin's Veto, like she doesn't need to have Spell Pierce or whatever. Veil still just stops the Dovin's Veto. So maybe willing to take the risk anyway.
Yeah, he may just not want to give up. I mean, the Veil's going to – I mean, I think it's pretty easy to argue, well, Veil's going to get me at some point.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's going to be good. Like Veil of Summer, good against control. Getting it out of the way sooner rather than later has some merit.
Yeah, and so here is the veto. And she
does have it. Yeah. Dovin's Veto going to be stopped thanks to Veil of Summer. A counterspell usually pretty hard to stop. Veil of Summer going to get the job done, and a Goblin Shaman added to the mix. Wow.
Okay.
Timely Veil of Summer.
Yeah, productive turn for Jesse Robinson for sure. And now Raja, I mean, had to know that was a possibility and just decided it was worth, his expensive mana. He's got plenty of cards. Losing the Dovin's Veto, it doesn't cost him all that much. And unless you have a Teferi in hand, the Veil of Summer is, going to be good eventually. So running into it now versus running into it later.
It could be worth it. The problem is now all of these cards, have some amount of into this battlefield effects. Like Fable has gotten, work taken care of. Saga now representing to go to work, making constructs. And with those sweepers available for Raja, Dress Down kind of functions as a sweeper as far as construct tokens go, but there's plenty of other relevant cards that are not construct tokens in play right now.
I mean, Wear
Tear, don't have land number 5 for Solitude.
Wear Tear is almost a sweeper right now. Gets 2 things.
Kind of. Sure. There's more than 2 things that are problematic on the board, though, Joe.
Yeah.
And Raja agrees. Dealing with kind of a tough one. I can't get a great look at the left 2 cards. Island, and I just don't know what that farthest left card is, but we do know Solitude, Wear Tear. I think there's a Broker's Charm too. All these cards are very expensive. Basically, he has to kind of pick which card he wants to play. Not really in double spell territory just yet. Maybe I'm wrong, as here comes a 1 mana card, and it's going to be Tear.
Oh, the Haywire Might's right there. You don't want to just kick up and take down the Haywire Might? And Raja says no.
No, leave up Archmage's Charm and Broker's Charm. But, I mean, that does tell Jesse something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It does. There's certainly information that she can pick up from there. Discards 2 lands or rummages 2 lands to the Fable. That's certainly nice.
Yeah, that rummage mode's so powerful. And reaching for mana, looks like Expressive Iteration pulled to the front. Maybe looking to do a little cantripping.
So do you Expressive Iteration pre or post combat? I'm not sure that it makes a huge difference, but you force Raja to spend mana. I suppose if you're worried about running into an Endurance, casting Iteration first makes a lot of sense.
Unholy Heat gets turned online to the Expressive Iteration going to the graveyard. So if Endurance comes down, I want to be able to Unholy Heat that one with the trigger on the stack.
Yeah. And Iteration does resolve.
Iteration resolves
through counters. So that's always nice when you can run something like this into a counter and get it to resolve. Because your opponent is afraid of
Saga what you have. Put into exile. Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, it's the first one. Here's number 2. Saga enters. Ability on the stack. Could respond here. Based on the posturing, maybe will? Broker's Charm could go after that Saga right away. Raj did a good job of keeping the first one in check.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to allow that first ability to resolve. I think negate. Wow, Jesse's hand. I got like a brief glimpse there. It looks pretty freaking good. Yeah, there's the negate. No, thank you on taking my token. Instead, I would like to get more mana, please, and more smackdowns through
Nice.
both the Goblin Shaman and Haywire Might.
Yeah, just one negate in the deck, but certainly Jesse got value for that one. And Roger drops
sure.
to
Draw step, another Solitude.
Okay.
And I mean, now do we have to start considering like things like Bai Kahira and start pitch casting? I mean, we're behind if you're Raja Suleiman. Patience is something that Raja has no shortage of. So yeah, we're just going to see a land pass the turn, but it's hard to deny it. With these sagas, multiple sagas ticking up on Jesse's first main phase here, it's a tough spot if you're Raja.
Yeah, it's worrisome. I mean, obviously hard casting Solitudes would be great right now, but I agree with you. Right. It is a little precarious unless you're doing an end step.
Yeah, and there's just more going on for Jesse. Like, she has more in the tank. It's not like, oh, I'm behind and Jesse's out of gas. Jesse just has a handful of gas as here comes the first Solitude. Gonna see exactly what this decides to do. Did wait till combat, so a treasure did come. That one flashed in for full retail, 3 white. Powerful elemental incarnation from Modern Horizons 2. Has lifelink on its own. Gonna exile Reflection of Kiki Jiki on ETB. That's gonna go to exile there. 2 life points for Jesse's trouble. And we'll see if she wants to remove this Solitude before blocks. Looks like she does. Solitude gonna hit the bin. And 3 points coming across. So no lifelink, huge if you're just on the beatdown plan, right? If you're Jesse and saying, all right, like you're at 8, I'm very quickly assembling a lethal attack force. I have to imagine that keeping these Solitudes from blocking is going to be an instrumental part of her game plan here.
And here's another Urza Saga. So Raja really in the market for dress downs now in the future. No need quite yet, but
very soon.
Yeah, very soon.
on order, please. Back order for dress down. As here's Broker's Charm, potentially looking for that exact card. Aether Gust land the Broker's Charm cycles.
Wow.
I'd be excited if you're Jesse to see that one cycled main phase, huh?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, Roger's going to pack it in. Okay, well, we are going to see Pioneer.